Let me go ahead and get started with the interview here. I enjoyed this informal conversation with you. It's such a pleasure to talk with you.
Very, very stimulating, and it's all true.
Yeah, you are. You're absolutely right. Okay, now you've been playing for obviously for over 70 years, and how long do you foresee continuing doing this? And do you see retirement in the future at all?
Well, I use Dave Brubeck, my friend, as a model. He's 90. He just did the Litchfield Festival. He's doing something with Randy Lewis.
He was here.
So I got a shot.
Okay.
And Roy Haynes, I got a shot. Roy Haynes is out there.
Right.
Sonny Rollins is not quite, he's about 2 years my junior. But there's longevity in the music business, fortunately. We're not as isolated from old age as the athletes are.
Right.
You know, our hands begin to falter a little bit. We have to practice. You can see I got this. It's a placebo. I'm not using this. It's just up there to give people the impression that I'm a practicer. But the pace of today's and the sense of urgency that we can't rid ourselves with keeps me from doing the amount of practice I would like to. But as long as we practice and we can keep hitting the ball for years, as opposed to the athlete.
What do you attribute your longevity to?
Interesting life. My life is very interesting, and every day is an event, and that's very important. And when you lose enthusiasm for living, you're dead. Well, you may be walking around, but you're dead. Okay. Life is a wonderful gift, and if you learn, and I've learned a little something, a little bitty something after all these years. Okay. And I can keep going. We just left Istanbul, which is one of my favorite cities. It's historically sound, unbelievable when you sit out and see what the Ottoman Empire contributed to that culture. And that's what's missing here. We don't have that kind of culture. It's third world, but it's first world culture. We're first world, but eight world culture. Okay, the only culture we have here, as far as I'm concerned, was put here by the American Indian and this thing we call jazz. Because the only development artistically here has been this, what I know is American classical music. They call it jazz, but I call it American classical music. So
that's what it is.
You know, we just left Istanbul, Belgium, and a great concert in France, about 3.5 hours out of Paris. So that's what keeps me going. To make a short story long.
Okay. Your hometown, Mount home area, Pittsburgh, has been fertile territory for great musicians. Was it something in the water, or was everybody trying to get out of the steel industry, or what gave you guys that great gift to be musicians?
Walter Harper noted the local who never left. He made enough money. He never left Pittsburgh. Right. And he was very, very popular in Pittsburgh, playing on dances. His daughter's writing a book about that. It must have been something in the water.
Oh, really?
You know Walter Harper.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing Walter
all the debutante thing, all the bourgeois proms and this, that. So she's writing a book. It must have been something in the water. But I was selling papers with Billy Strayhorn's family. Billy had gone with Duke when I was 7 years old. Okay. So that city is a contributor of so much to the world musically. Billy Strayhorn, Ray Brown, Earl Wild, the exponents of Liszt, and Loren Maisel, Earl Garner, which was one of the most fantastic players in the world. Mary Lou Williams wasn't from there, but she came there so young. People attribute her to Pittsburgh. She went to Westinghouse too. Oh, really? Okay. And gone and forgotten genius was Dodo Monterosa, who made early records with Charlie Parker and Artie Shaw. Okay. And then you had Roy Eldridge and Stanley Turrentine. There's a little guy named George Benson. He's from, you ever hear him?
Saw George a couple weeks ago. we saw him at Virginia.
He's from Pittsburgh. Right. And it goes on and on and on.
I remember seeing George at the Hurricane. I told him about that when I saw him last week. I saw you when I was a teenager at the Hurricane. I shouldn't have been in there, but I was there.
There's a picture the photographer took of all the take of all of us. There's teeny Waters, I think. Anyway, he has a picture of George, and the guitar is as tall as George.
an opportunity to do any extensive work with any of these great musicians?
No, because I've been leading all my life. I've
Okay.
had nurseries all my life to manage. So, you know, when you
Okay.
are managing a nursery for 50-some years, that's what I call my group. It's a nursery.
Okay.
I don't have time for that, you know.
Okay.
People ask that to work with Miles. No, I was too busy with my own stuff, and Miles was too busy with his stuff, you know. I had guests, so like standing turn team,
Right.
yes, and I was fortunate enough to write a couple of things that O.C. Smith was kind enough to record, and that's possibly his last recording, the one he did with me. Did 2 titles, Whisperings and Picture Perfect, marvelous singer.
Okay.
So I've done a lot of projects, and I've done every configuration known and unknown to man, with
Right.
singers or orchestral things and this
Okay.
thing and that thing, small ensembles, large ensembles. So I've done it pretty much the whole shooting match.
Okay.
You know?
Chicago seemed to have been a launching pad for your career. How did you get to Chicago from Pittsburgh? Or was it somewhere else in between?
WOMAN.
Okay.
You ever hear that?
Yes.
You like that answer, huh?
I like that answer.
You move a lot of places
Okay.
because of them. So I
Okay.
came to Chicago by way of my first wife. She's passed now, but I met her in Atlantic City, and she was based in Chicago, so I became based in Chicago.
Well, it seemed like it was
A
probably
natural occurrence, as you know.
It seemed like it was a good decision.
Yeah, well, Chicago's been good for me. That's when they had the jitneys running up and down.
Right.
Not called South Park
South Park,
anymore.
right.
It's
South
called
Park.
Martin Luther King.
Right.
I think that's correct.
Yeah, you're correct.
That's what
You're
was
correct.
a dime a ride. You'd be in there with 100 people, but it was a dime a ride. In fact, C.B. Atkins, who subsequently married Sarah Vaughan, his father had all those jitneys. So you know, I've forgotten more about Chicago than most people know in 3 lifetimes, including that jaunt to Carson Pier and Scott every morning where I was making $32 a week cleaning up the busiest corner in the world, Monroe State. You had to keep
Okay.
that snow clean. So I've forgotten more about this town. Now, all that stuff has changed now.
Yeah. How long did you live in Chicago when you were here?
12 interesting years.
Wow.
With
Wow.
a job making kitchen cabinets at 80 cents an hour that
Wow.
cost me $40 to buy. My aunt sent me $40 for a non-union shop job, 80 cents an hour.
Wow.
So I was here when Two Gun Pete. Remember Two Gun? You don't remember
No,
Two Gun?
no,
That's way before your time.
Right.
Like I say, I've forgotten more about this wonderful
I'm
town
sure.
than most people know in 3 lifetimes. I can't believe these concrete jungles all that they built.